Okay, so here's on the docket for today. We are picking the all-time Test 11 for India. Their all-time Test 11. It's in any conditions. I kind of like to picture it like this. They're going to go on a world tour and they're going to play test matches against every nation at every nation's home ground, and then they're going to host every single nation. So how do we go about picking this team? There's honestly so many. Obviously, India have some really good strengths in spin bowling and what I kind of perceive as a bit of a weakness when you look at them all time. They're pace bowlers. Now they've got enough to get an amazing attack together. Don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot less to pick from in terms of genuinely really good options. Like their spin options, there are guys that are not getting that close to being in the team that would start for other teams' world 11s all time. They're just not going to get close in this one. I mean, I'll give you an example. Harbhajan Singh. What team is he not going to be their all-time best spinner other than Australia and Sri Lanka? Yeah, he's starting in South Africa's all-time Test 11. He's starting in England's probably. I mean, it's kind of a pick 'em between him and Graham Swan in that regard. He's got a lot more longevity, but maybe his peak wasn't quite as high. But just giving you an example, like it's rough when you're picking these players. So the way I like to start is with the non-negotiables, and I usually start with the bowling. If you can flesh out an attack quickly, just by highlighting some guys that are definitely going to be in the team, you can start putting together that team and seeing how it's going to look. So somebody who's definitely in the team is going to be Jasprit Bumrah. Obviously, he's not close to being their leading wicket taker or anything like that. He just hasn't been playing long enough, hasn't played enough games, but he is by far the best seamer that they've ever had. Just look at him, just watch him bowl. Just the eye test alone kind of bears witness to his greatness. I don't think there's any situation where you can pick an all-time Test 11 and not pick him unless you've never watched him play. You're just going on Wikipedia and looking at his statistics. Now, there is a good deal of that going on with the older players. You know what I mean? Like you do got to do that, because even if you do go watch them on YouTube, the game was just different, and you're going to be turned off of all these old players because it's just not as cute. Like they just don't look as refined, because obviously we have them as a foundation from which to build. So another lock I would say on the bowling side, I don't see a world where you don't pick Anil Kumble. So I'm going to lock him in, and the last person I'm going to lock in on the bowling side is going to be Zaire Khan. Actually, I lie. That's not the last person I'm going to lock in. The last person I'm going to lock in is Kapil Dev. But Zaire Khan, I grew up on him. I was watching cricket in the 2000s with my dad. That's when I watched most of my cricket. And that man was always giving the South African batters problems. Now, I'm English, but South Africa was my team because my father's South African. So those four players we're going to lock in, right? And the position, I've got them in rough positions here, 11, 10, 8 and 7, but they might move around. That doesn't really matter. Some other players I'm going to lock in. Now we'll start with some batsmen. Obviously, Sachin Tendulkar is going to be in there. So I don't know if we're going to have him opening or if we're going to have him at 3 or even 4 maybe, but he's in. So we're going to put his name down. And Virat Kohli. Now, Kohli, it's weird. I thought for a minute there that maybe we overrate him in tests, but then I realized actually because of the last couple of years, we probably now underrate him in test cricket. He is a legend of the game, and obviously he's a better one-day player, better white ball cricketer. But man, he's still one of the greats in terms of Test batting. So he's definitely going to be in there. Another one that I think we can pretty comfortably lock in is Sunil Gavaskar. I say that with, if I said it with 99% confidence with Tendulkar, or 100% confidence with Tendulkar, I guess, I'm saying it with 90% confidence for Gavaskar. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, we have these other guys that we can look at for, kind of top order / early middle order batsmen. We got people like Laxman and Dravid, and I think Dravid probably ends up making it. But then you got people like Sourav Ganguly, and we're going to get to that problem. You're going to see like there's some problems when it comes to the all-rounders in the Indian team. That's when it gets a little bit difficult. It's not as obvious like it is, say, with the South African all-rounders like Sean Pollock and Callis. They are in. That's not a question. The question comes more towards the top of the order or towards the middle order. But yeah, the late middle order is where it gets really kind of weird. So here's kind of the conundrum I'm in now. Do I open the batting with Tendulkar and Gavaskar, thus dropping Sehwag, but leaving more space for Dravid and Kohli to just bump up a bit earlier so that we can have that extra player. Let's see how it looks if I put Tendulkar at opener, Dravid at 3, Kohli at 4. Then I've got 2 spaces between Kohli and Kapil Dev. Now another thing that a lot of people don't know, Dravid can keep wicket. And that gives me another batsman. But just for now, I'm still going to put Dhoni in. I'm going to put him in at 6. Dev 7, Kumble 8. And now we've really, in my eyes, we've got 3 or 4 players left that could slot in. We've got Sehwag. We have Ganguly, Jadeja. And we have Ravindra Ashwin. Now, the one thing I would say that probably isn't happening is Ashwin and Jadeja. If we were to bump these guys down and put Sehwag in, that leaves Kohli at 5, Dhoni at 6, Dev at 7. But I'm also, man, like, there is a world where you just bump Kumble down. Let's see how this looks. Kumble and Dev down. Dhoni, you bump him down to play 7. And then you leave those 2 spots open. Maybe you bump up Dhoni, put in Jadeja, and then who would you rather have in your team, Ganguly or Sehwag? I don't want to exaggerate how useful Ganguly is, because he's a useful bowler, but he's not going to make a massive difference, especially when you've already got spinners who can have those long spells and you can rest your quicks. You can rest Dev, Bumrah and Khan. And we almost underrate Dev as a pace bowler because he can bat. That brother was serious. Like, he wasn't just an all-rounder who can kind of, nah, he could bowl. He's got, how many test wickets has he got? 434 test wickets. It's a lot of test wickets. It's just a lot. Averaging almost 30 runs. I think the best thing to do is to get the best players on the field. And what I think that actually looks like is going Ashwin at number 8. Dev at number 7. Dhoni there. Kohli at 5. And then opening the batting with Sehwag. I'm saying, like, I'm doing him dirty by saying that. He would walk into most other teams' opening batting slot all time. But, man, when you have Tendulkar, you know, I wouldn't feel bad about putting Dravid at opener. And then obviously Gavaskar's going to be there. It's like, man, like, you're leaving a lot of good players. Like, okay, you've got India's 2 best ever spinners. And then, like, Harbhajan, like, he's just not making it. That's so sad. And, like, I mean, pace, like, you don't feel too bad leaving out Shami or Ishant Sharma. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel too bad about that. Man, I just lament over leaving out Ganguly, who is actually a great batsman. What did he average in tests? He reminds me of Mike Hussey in that he just, like, there's so many legends in that team that you kind of forget that he averaged over 40 runs. Like, that's really good for a guy who could also bowl. But I think you leave him out, and I think this is the team, guys. If anything, we're a bit light on pace. I would want one more pace bowler. Now I look at it, and I just look at it like this. So maybe Sourav Ganguly would be the player that I would put in if I had to take somebody out. But I think having 2 bona fide openers and being able to let Tendulkar come in at 4 a little bit later, that's a privilege, having him come in at 4. I'm hoping somebody like Shubman Gill comes up and shakes this list all the way up, or Jaswell, or one of them boys. KL Rahul is actually one of my favorites. It's just, he just ain't quite on the level of these guys yet, you know. And another guy we didn't really talk about, who goes under the radar with tests, and, you know, for some good reason he wasn't going to get in this top order, was Rohit Sharma. I know we haven't really spoken about Rohit Sharma. I guess it's just because I just never really think about him in tests. You know, he would be one of my first guys. He might be my second guy on the team sheet for India's all-time 50-over team. Any white ball cricket, really. But no, not today. I mean, he just, who would you drop? You know, in test cricket, would you drop Gavaskar, Sehwag, Dravid, Tendulkar for him? Nah, you wouldn't. You know, it is what it is. This is my 11. This is my India all-time 11. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Send to a friend. Appreciate y'all.